Let's do it. Let's get right to it then. Hey there, oak trees and household fleas. Welcome to another 7-minute sermon, and welcome to part 4 of our series, Overwhelming Obstacles. Today we are going to talk about a new obstacle, jumping over another hurdle. Today we are going to talk about forgiveness.
This one's called forgiveness.
Now this can be a huge stumbling block to many of us in our lives, because we know that as Christians we are supposed to forgive, but that don't make it easy. When someone has wronged us or hurt us, how do we get to that place of forgiveness that God calls us to? Well, I think it starts by understanding what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not.
Forgiveness is more than saying sorry.
So first, we have to remember that forgiveness is not a feeling. Oftentimes, we think that if we're going to forgive someone, we have to feel like it. As long as I'm not angry anymore, as long as I'm not hurt anymore, as long as I'm completely over it, then I can forgive. But if we wait for all of those feelings of pain and hurt to go away before we forgive someone, we are going to be caught in unforgiveness for a very long time. Because forgiveness is not something that happens to us. It is much more proactive than that. We don't have to feel like forgiving someone in order to do it. Number 2, forgiveness is not reconciliation. Sometimes we think that forgiving someone means that everything has to go back exactly the way it was. But by doing this, we could actually be setting ourselves up to be hurt again in the exact same way. We can forgive the offense, but that doesn't mean that we don't set up new boundaries or redefine our expectations of the relationship to ensure that what they did doesn't happen again. Which actually leads us to number 3. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Don't you forget about me. You may never forget what that person did to you. And if we wait until we've forgotten to forgive, we may never get there. And again, this is because forgiveness is not something that happens to us. It is much more proactive than that. Okay, John, we get it. You told me all the things that it isn't. Why don't you tell me what it is? Forgiveness is a command. Most times when we find forgiveness spoken about in the Bible, the writers are speaking about it as a command from God. So this has to lead us to believe that forgiveness is a choice. It's not something we do when we feel like it. It's not something that magically happens when we forget. It is an act of the will. And beyond that, forgiveness is also an act of faith. Not only is it an act of faith because it is a command from God, but in doing it, we are actually being imitators of God. If you look at Ephesians 4:32, it says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving one another just as Christ forgave you." The writers of the Bible speak time and time again about how our greatest reason for forgiving one another is just that, because Christ forgave us. And if you think about it, Christ did not forgive us because we deserved it. He did it so that we would not have to carry around the guilt and the shame and the repercussions of sin any longer. Which brings us again to number 3. Forgiveness is letting go. Oftentimes, we think that holding on to a grudge or unforgiveness is a great way to get back at someone. Because if I can hold this over their head long enough, then maybe that will be payback for what they did to me. We think that by choosing not to forgive, we're holding on to control, when in reality, the exact opposite is true. We don't have control over the people who hurt us. But when we choose to hang on to bitterness, we allow what they did to have control over us. The longer we hold on to something, the more power it has over us. It's only when we are willing to forgive and let go that we are saying, "You don't have power over me anymore. What you did hurt me once, but I'm not going to let it hurt me again and again and again. You may not deserve my forgiveness, but I don't deserve to carry around what you did to me, so I'm letting it go. You see what I'm saying? Now, I can't begin to imagine just how badly some of you who are watching have been hurt. And it's super easy for me to sit here in my chair under my lights with my camera and say, let it go. Forgiveness is really easy to talk about, but it's a lot harder to do. Forgiveness is not an easy thing, but it is a good thing. It doesn't mean that the pain is gone, because it's not about making feelings go away. It doesn't mean that everything is okay now, because it's not a magic pill that we can take. Forgiving someone else does not set us free from everything, but it does free us from the prison of hostility, bitterness, and hatred. Choosing to forgive means that we are choosing the way of God, which therefore means that we are in right standing with God, which at the end of the day, that's the best thing we can ask for. Hey y'all, thanks for watching this 7-minute sermon. I hope it was encouraging, enlightening, and inspiring for you. If it was, please click that like button. That really helps me out. Also, share the video with a friend if maybe someone popped into your mind who you know needs to forgive someone. Allow this to be like maybe a little subtle push, like, You may have noticed that all of the vlogs have disappeared from this channel. That's not because I stopped vlogging. It's because Sweet Bear and I started a brand new channel called Jorgen Fam. You're gonna get a chance to subscribe to it. I highly recommend that you do. Also, maybe check out some more videos, share more videos with friends, whatever you need to do. I love you all. I hope you have a great, great day. Keep being awesome.